from Hamburg.
Hey everybody, it's Anthony Dodge and Sean Ricard here on the Model Train Outsider, Märklin Outsider, and we are in Hamburg, Germany, and we did some model train shopping and thought we would show you some of what we got.
Yeah, that was the basic idea, and we are also going to tell you what shops they were. We are not going to give you the exact address because that could be looked up in Google, but at least you know what kind of shop you will find and what kind of assortment of models train stuff that you can get in that shop.
Okay, so while we the first shop we went to was Uwe Hess,
Yeah,
Modell Bahn shop,
yeah,
and we both liked it.
yeah,
It was a very typical shop. It wasn't really big. It wasn't super small. Very nice and friendly.
It was a what I would call a classic model shop of German Oregon,
Okay.
if I should describe it. And they had a broad assortment of both DC and AC, or DCC and AC digital stuff there, as well as
Old and new, but yeah,
Yeah.
A nice collection.
Yeah,
But definitely more DC than AC.
yeah,
Definitely
Yeah.
more DC than
Yeah.
AC. AC/DC. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip this camera around and show you. There's three categories. There's what I bought for myself. There's what Jean bought for himself, and then what Jean bought for me.
No. That is what Anthony got and what I got, and who bought it or whatever doesn't really matter. You know, it's not a constant of that.
All right, so we're going to flip the camera around and we'll start showing you what we got here.
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing I picked up, I just decided to get this out of the way, is I needed some curves. This is my C-Track that you guys know my layout runs on, but this is for 2-rail. This doesn't have the little third rail nubs in the middle. And this is so that my stuff on the floor, I can get rid of that awful Bachmann track. And I'm not trying to say all Bachmann track is awful. It's just that the Bachmann track I have is awful. And
my comment on that is that Anthony has had good experience with the oval of C-Tracks that he has in service, and to be able to run the two ovals of
we won't have the derailing
Yeah,
and that like
yeah.
we're having with those Bachmann. This will, because clearly all my trains do like running on my Trick C-Track. This is for the floor layout. That's basically right now my 00 trains, my UK trains. But this hopefully will end a lot of the derailing, so I can run 2 loops there.
and finally we can see the blue steam locomotive, the Mallard.
The Mallard.
The
Well,
Mallard going, in consistency all
Yeah.
the time.
yeah, it does well when it's on the outer loop. It's that
Yeah.
inner loop on the Bachmann track it starts
Yeah.
with. So that's what I bought. There's more to come, but that's that. So we will just push that aside. And then the next thing I bought, this was an impulse buy. I have an attitude. I do like to buy. I'm going to flip this back. I do like to buy something from any shop I visit. Usually just something relatively quick and cheap. If I can't find something I really want, I will buy like container wagon or boxes or something like that, just as a way of thanking them for letting me come into their shop. I always try to buy something. So this was kind of an impulse buy, but I just liked it, and we'll explain it as we look at it.
Yeah, it's a tarpaulin covered flat bed car from the Chemin de Fer Luxembourg. So it's a relatively small country represented. It's the Luxembourg Railway, State Railway, and it's their cargo company. And they are seen basically all over Europe because I honestly don't think they have so much cargo going in and out of Luxembourg that they can really run that many of those cars that they do. But you see them in Europe as a
Right. And this was not inexpensive. This was not billig. This was 40. I think it was $40. 40. Well, yeah, it came out to about $40. But I just like the looks of it. And yes, I knew that it was. I tend to run Deutsche Bahn, and everything's the Deutsche Bahn red. But I do like these tarpaulin cars. Trying to find where specifically. In German, it's called they call it the tarpaulin sliding tarp car is the official name for it in English, or a Schiebeplanenwagen Bauart, Realness, SS. But I like the looks of it, and I've got some cargo. In fact, I want more tarp. I would like to get a few more. I've got a couple of Deutsche Bahn ones, but they're shorter. This was a nice long one. So I've got 2 freight cars. I've got the one that's pulling all the container wagons, and then I've got one that basically is pulling the tankers and my tarp cars. So this was a nice one to help make that. And I'd like to get a couple more, if not of this particular type, just of that type of car, even if not Luxembourg. So some people might go, hey, the Luxembourg car doesn't fit with all your German stuff, but
that wouldn't actually be correct. If you see as a freight train in Europe, they are very mixed, with very mixed cars from the different countries that they come from. And for many, many years, they have had like a pool system, so that when a company put cars into that pool system, they are actually allowed to use the car on their railway, even though it's from Luxembourg. It could just as easily be from Denmark or from Germany. They use it just when they have it and it's empty.
Okay. We'll put this back here. Now, why don't you get the next thing? Because this is something Jean Ricard decided I desperately needed. I had to have this.
Yeah, that's it.
I told him, thank you very much for the back scratcher. This has been a wonderful back scratcher. I tell you, I've got a place down here that I tell you, it hits the spot perfectly. Yeah. It's amazing.
And the full thing with Märklin products, they can be used for so many things, but basically it's every time Anthony has an unlucky situation with a switch that hasn't been turned back after he had been shunting his trains around, we see a derailing. And you all know, all of those that had watched it regularly knows that he has some difficulty in getting the cars back on track.
I take offense to that.
Yeah, but I think it will really help you, because you don't know how you could live without your back scratch.
I can see this when I'm putting trains on for the first time. But when I have a derailing way over there, that's the only time I have trouble. It's way over there, and I'm trying to reach across my table because I did not build my table for easy access.
You can also use it to pull in cars. Standing. So it has so many. It's so versatile,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so anyhow, I think that's all I got from Uwe Hesse. What did you get from Uwe Hesse?
Yeah, I'm a bit, besides running my Märklin, I also run narrow gauge.
So, all right.
And this is a German company calling Mini Trains, and if you want to check their website out, it's minitrains.eu. I don't know if it says it's their mail address on any type of, but it's mainly Mini Trains as is written.
So he bought a black box that says Mini Trains.
Yeah. And in that black box there are 4 little cars, and they are like that, and it's very hard to see, but if we
see if we could tip it just for a second.
Up,
they're the other way. Whoops.
This is basically the car body, and as you can see, it has a brake platform, and that was why I wanted that type. There are 2 of those with brake platform and 2 of those without brake platform, and this one is without a brake platform. And actually, this is broken down. I can see because it's missing the.
No, this one has it.
Yeah, those are. But you can see they should all have.
Oh, okay. I see it.
And as I can see that there's like the one end is missing there. You can see.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's Kiploren as it is known in German. And if we put the
Oh, yeah, that's hard to do live on air. That's tiny. That takes two hands. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they are very lively, even though it says they have brake platforms. But
so yeah, sadly, yeah, I'm looking in the box. I'm not seeing, but yeah, hopefully maybe it's in the bottom of the box somewhere. But yeah, you're right. That is got a couple of broken spindles there.
Yeah, this is basically how it should look, and it's for. You know, if you're into OO gauge or into narrow gauge and you know a little bit about it, there's the company of Kato. They have made small Englands for the 009 gauge, and Bachmann Trains makes the little steam locomotives from the quarries in Wales as well, and they are very beautiful. And Mini Trains make some very nice little steam locomotives. As I said, it's just a couple of cars, you know, and I really like them. Mm-hmm. And I especially like those with brake platforms because you haven't been able to get them from any others. So I'm not really that crushed by the one that's defect there.
Okay.
It's mainly those two with brake platforms that
but
really.
Those are small, and
yeah,
you can see how they could be a bit fragile. Those are small. We'll put those away because that was it, right?
Yeah,
that was it from Uwe Hesse.
Yeah, that was my buy from.
Nice. Yeah, I've got my head off camera here, but
yeah.
it was a nice shop. I really liked it. Very friendly gentleman and his wife, and we talked quite a bit. And Jean Ricard kept advertising my channel to him.
So I even convinced him. I didn't convince the company, but I convinced the shop owner of Uwe Hess, which is actually. Christian Schübe.
Oh, Inhaber, Christian Zuba. Okay,
yeah,
so
that was the guy that you talked to.
Okay.
And I convinced Anthony to give him a sticker for the model train, and he found it extremely funny to know the Macklin model train outsider, and he was going to keep the sticker and to show it to the agent from Macklin when they came to the shop.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
No, but I'm looking forward to see if Anthony is going to get some kind of acknowledgement from Macklin on that account.
Yeah, that now makes me scared. All right, now you did not. Let's go on to the next shop.
Yeah,
which was Züge und Mehr, Züge and Mehr, Trains and More.
Yeah.
It was, in terms of space, I don't know, slightly smaller?
Actually, I think it was the same size,
okay.
But it seems smaller because the location of it, they only had windows out to where the entrance was, and they had rooms upon rooms.
But would you agree they had a smaller selection?
Yeah.
They had a smaller selection. I thought Züge and Mehr was kind of the bigger store, but really it had a smaller selection.
Yeah, but it's a more high-end selection because they had more like short runs and special editions they had made.
Now, I don't know. See, I don't know if I would agree with that. It's I don't know if high end, because when you say high end, people are thinking it's all just the expensive stuff like the Goodseld and things like that. It's not. It's more rarities and very limited. For example, a lot of what they sell is like strictly Hamburg related.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah, it's very collector oriented. Like it's for the local more than for the the general collector. It's a very specialized.
I wouldn't say it's more for the local, but I would say it's definitely for the specialized collector. Because I think if you weren't in love with Delmenhorst, if you had your program with a school in Hamburg, you would probably
Hamburg
have
subway trains.
Yeah,
Hamburg based locomotives, Hamburg buses, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And that shop specializes in small series, small runs production of specialized for Hamburg area.
So
and you find many things in that shop that you definitely don't find anywhere else.
Very friendly young man was working there while we were there. Very busy too. He was running back and forth through the shop and dealing with calls and that. But we had a nice chat. We were talking about some things. But what I have seen this on channels, but I have never gone into a shop that he had a bit of Mahano rolling stock. I was surprised. So I'm going to flip the camera because you did not. Well, you bought something there, but you didn't buy it for yourself there.
No.
So we'll put this down on the table here. Yeah. So this was the main buy there. I bought this. This is from Mahano. This is the first thing I have ever bought from Mahano. And obviously it's a trailer with a couple of 40-foot containers. Those aren't the extended containers. Those are the basic 40s.
I don't know if that's extended. This might be extended. You can see
because it's got that little bit on it.
Yeah, on the. Yeah. But the one is actually showing some kind of container flatbed with. I think this is supposed to be a tarpaulin. Container.
But the funny thing is, Joyce saw this and liked it.
Yeah.
And there was more to it, and I probably could have bought more, but I'm like, this is our first day model train shopping, first real model train shopping in Germany, and I didn't want to buy the 3 wagon set, or well, actually it would have been 6 because there's these 2, there was 2 more, and then another 2.
Yeah, but you're right in saying it's a 3-car set because this is actually a double car. Right. It has a combined. I don't
middle
know
bogey.
If they call it a Jacobs bogey as they do if it's a traction bogey, but those 2 cars are separate. They have a shared bogey in the middle.
In the middle, right? Yeah, because I've got a couple like that already, but from Märklin. And he had some Märklin ones too, but were much more expensive. The nice thing about this is a Märklin version of this would probably be about 120 to 140 euros. Yeah. And this was 80 euros, 79.99. Yeah. And really, I could have easily, I hate to say that because it sounds right, but I could have bought both. Yeah. But what's cool here is that it tells you it is for both. It is the wheels are set up to be used for both 12 volt DC and 16 volt AC, which tells me they probably are plastic wheels, or it's metal wheels, and metal wheels are fine.
I think they have metal wheels, but they would be with isolated around the axle from one of the discs.
Yeah, so they're still isolated.
Yeah.
But I just saw this actually, and again, I'm not blaming Joyce. I'm thanking Joyce. Joyce popped this and said she thought these were really cool, and I could expand.
Actually, I'm going to take the lid off because I think it's lights off like.
But it might be taped. I don't know.
Is it? No.
We're having it.
But it's going very very straight. But I think it gives.
Yeah, it's metal wheels. It is metal wheels.
Yeah, but I think you should take a shot at it while we are holding it like this, because the details of the car and the detail of the containers.
Yeah. If you wanted to be mildly critical, and I don't like to be critical, definitely the container wagons look, I would say, a little bit more plasticky than others you might get, but I'm not that picky. I just point that out. And you even got a bag of
That's the
goodies to
couples.
details and
I think
additional couplings in
yeah.
that. Yep.
Yeah, because
They're not attached here.
Fitted.
But there are a couple of things to fit on, like little
Yeah.
poles or pikes or
Yeah.
something there. But yeah, I mean, it was cool, and I liked the looks of it. And like I said, it was funny because Joyce really liked it and said, "Hey, honey, what about that there?" So when I said, "All right," and then we found out it was Mahano.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to just walk away and not really buy much of anything. And Joyce said, "What about the ones in the window?" And I said, "Oh yeah, okay, let's look at those." And the guy got them out, and the gentleman got them out and showed us the whole rake of them, which was pretty cool. And I was shocked to find out it was Mahano, because this is the first time I've been in a shop where I noticed they had a decent collection of Mahano, which I know a lot of the European guys do Mahano. I know Tommy, Paul Vosman from Tommy's Trains is quite familiar with Mahano. And I've heard of Mahano, and I've seen their El Cheapo stuff advertised like on Amazon. In fact, the first ICE3 I ever looked at was a Mahano before I bought the Miraklin one, because it was $193 on Amazon. But then I looked up Mahano, and everybody said, "Oh, they're garbage." But I've since learned that they're basically two scales. They have a real cheap line that is not very good, but that when they make something well, it's really good.
Actually,
and they're a Slovakian company.
No, it's Yugoslavian.
There is no Yugoslavia. So
no, but
Croatia.
You know, it's from
Croatia.
No. Croatia wasn't. It was Serbia, Croatia. Basically, the countries along the Adriatic coast.
Right. So I'm just trying to figure out. Well, it's made in China, so it doesn't tell you.
But Mahano was originally a Yugoslavian company.
And but whatever part of Yugoslavia is now, I don't think they're in Serbia, because I thought it was like not Slovakia, but is it Slovenia then?
Yeah.
Because that's why I went to Slovakia, but Czechoslovakia, which broke into the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is Yugoslavian, so it would have been Slovenian probably. Okay, so the last things we got is, I was already done. I was just going to take these things because I had already spent between Hesse and now the 80 euros that cost. That was a lot of money already spent shopping, and we still had to go to Miniatur Wunderland.
But there was this that Anthony kept on talking about, the company of a container company known as Hamburg Süd.
Because I'm always after. So anyhow, I did not see these, and then as we were walking out, I had mentioned Hamburg Süd, and somebody said, "Oh, we've got Hamburg Süd container cars here." I said, "Oh, it's a shame. I wish I'd seen those earlier." And these are the 20-footers.
Yeah.
From Fowler. And they're the right orange, too, because I bought a set online from some Chinese company, and they're red, and no, they should be orange.
Yeah, but to be perfectly honest, they might be... When you look upon the container cars, you have to go back home and try, to see if it fits one of the Märklin 2-axle
I know they will.
cars, and put them on and try them on, because they seem a little bit small when you compare them to the 40-foot or 45-foot containers of Max Bergel there.
I've also got one that you don't see running very often that they would fit on as well.
Yeah,
I know for sure. But so that was that, and we got that was it, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, that was our. I'm just bouncing back and forth. My camera's as big as the hotel room we're in, but let's walk that out of the way.
To be honest, the hotel room doesn't really. It's very nice rooms that we have, but they don't have that much of a sitting accommodation, and they don't have that much of a depth compared to... I'm actually sitting on the corner of my bed.
And I'm sitting on a little footstool like that.
Yeah. So And you can see in the background you have the ropes on the wall, and
it's a kinky place.
yeah. So Anthony really found the right way to where to stay.
Hey, we're keeping this PG. No, hey, I didn't find this place. Remember, they sent us to this place.
Yeah,
they kicked us out of our other hotel and sent us to this place.
But that was basically what we. Those two shops, and we must also be honest and say we only got to go shopping in the morning of a Saturday, and that's because the shops in Hamburg
10 to 2.
Yeah.
One was 9 to 1 and the other was 10 to 2. It's short Saturdays. In Germany, a lot of these shops are not open very long, if they're open at all on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Although Monday is the traditional closed day. A lot of businesses are closed on Mondays, Sundays and Mondays. But
and the other thing is that they are definitely not always located very central. So you have to find your way. It's not that they are difficult to find, but for example, Uwe Hess, you have to take the S-Bahn a couple of stops to the
from the train station.
Yeah,
it actually would be about a half an hour walk from the train station.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, that was our shopping, which was cool to go into a couple of shops, because where we were at Frankfurt, the only train shops in Frankfurt were way too far away, and we would have had to take multiple, transition from bus to bus to get to them. They weren't on any convenient subway or tram lines. You would have had to take this bus to this point, and they were far out. Now, in Frankfurt, Joyce and I went to MiWuLa's. MiWuLa's is a chain department store, and MiWuLa's can be very big or they can be small. And when they're big, they have a model train section that's as good as any model train shop. They have some really nice model train sections in their shops, in their bigger stores. But we ended yesterday, of course, people saw with the stream, we ended it at Miniatur Wunderland.
Yeah.
And Joyce has to get a lot of credit, because I told people I was going to try to stream, and Jean Ricard and Joyce were like, yeah, why not go ahead, do it. But I'm streaming, so I'm ignoring them and talking to the people on the camera. Now, I do want to say before we talk about it is that I use Streamlabs, and Streamlabs is really picky that how you hold your phone when you start it, it locks it into that position, so that even if I turn it sideways, it'll give you the widescreen, but it shrinks it. So I did not film that as well as like when I filmed the Toledo train show. So it came out small. You have to go into your screen and expand it, and then the picture's probably not as good. Although we did stream, well, no, it was streamed in 1080, because the Toledo train show I streamed in 4K. But anyhow, what did you think?
It was great. It was basically.
There's a joke about the word "great" going between us right now.
Yeah, but it's
So this one was great.
It was quite a couple of years since I have been there last, and some of the things is that when you have seen it and you have found spots you like, and you haven't been there for a couple of years, you have a tendency to say, oh, they have removed that. And there were some scenes that I missed. From the very beginning, from the very old layouts.
From the original days, there are some sections they did shorten and cut out so they could fit new stuff in. Other things they're not so much missing. They got moved and twisted into a different place. And sometimes, and we did it a lot faster because I was on the stream and I wanted to show everybody the entire.
Yeah.
And we only did the main display. We did not go into the special rooms and everything like that, or even the 3D world, because we didn't even pay to do that one.
I can tell you that even if you use the restrooms there are displays in the restrooms.
There's no.
It's everywhere. You basically cannot move around without having something to look at.
The urinals in the bathrooms have a video display in them, and you can watch videos of the layouts while you're at the urinal.
And one of the most impressive things about Miniatur Wunderland, it seems like they have been watching, a minor YouTube channel, because if you see the new T-shirt that Anthony bought, you somehow can recognize the logo they had stolen from that.
Yeah, there's a reason I turned around. I wasn't going to buy a T-shirt because I've already got a Miniatur Wonderland T-shirt, but I saw this and Joyce went, and John went, that looks familiar.
Yeah. So
Miniatur Wonderland stole my logo idea.
Yeah.
With the little circle of train track around it.
Yeah.
I'm suing.
So
do you think I stand a chance?
No, I don't know. It depends on, they might have some evidence that they draw it before you,
right?
Your daughter draw your,
or even before I drew the original rough draft. No, Miniatur Wonderland. And again, those of you who watched the live stream, if not, go back and watch it, because I take you to all the main sections. And again, there are things you would want people to go back. And if I was not live streaming, the live stream was 2 hours and 14 minutes. If I were not filming, I would have been there about 4 or 5 hours. And instead, we were there for about 2.5 to 3. But I would have been there 4 to 5 hours because I would have definitely taken more time to look at things. But I wanted to show the entire main layout that you get for 20 euros. I wanted to show that as quickly as I could. So there was stuff, I did zoom in on a couple of special things, but for the most part, I'm just like, here's this section, try to tell you a little bit of the history of the sections. But yeah, I did go through it quickly because we could have spent hours at just the airport.
Yeah. But there's another thing I'll say to any of, I assume that we are all, men of age watching your channel.
Or women, sorry, Joyce.
Yeah, but, we are pretty adult, all of us. And as an advice, I would say that if you are ever considering going to Miniatur Wonderland, go in the evening. Even go what you might consider relatively late in the evening, because then all the disturbing elements of children and families chatting and going around are thinned out. Yeah, so you can.
The crowds are smaller. Let's just say the crowds are smaller, because to be honest, if you're a father with young kids, you take them to Miniatur Wonderland. This is a place you don't have to be into model trains. I would say 70 to 80% of the crowd there were people not into model trains that are not. I'm here because I love model trains. It is an experience, and you cannot say. If you go to like a model train museum or Northlands in the United States. There's a certain crowd you expect to see, but at Miniatur Wonderland, there is no one crowd. You see just as many 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds as you see 55, 56, 60-year-olds. Yeah. The age, it covers everything, and it's not one dominant age group. And you can just see, and who the model train people are, because they're the ones standing there more and filming more intently, but everybody's enjoying it. You don't see people going, oh, come on, Mom, let's go. There's something for everybody there. Yes, it's in Hamburg, Germany, and if you're in the United States, it's actually cheaper to get over here and travel than the average American thinks. Okay? And in fact, if you live on the East Coast, Hamburg is closer than California. Well, no, that's not true. Hamburg's closer than Hawaii, by far. And it's probably cheaper. And if you want to go to this end, public transportation, it might take you a little bit to learn it, but it's easy, it's cheap, and it gets you anywhere, and it's easy to access. And if all else fails, you hire a taxi and say, take me to Miniatur Wonderland, and you're there. Yeah. But it's an amazing place. I've been there 6 times. I think you said this was your 5th or 6th time.
Yeah, something like that.
Because it never gets
I have
old.
had a rather large gap from the last time I was there until now. And one of the things I will comment on is that when I was there the first time, it was more train related than it is now. Actually, I would say it's more landscape related now and tech related. And boy, if you know what to watch for, if you see some of the early layouts like Knuffingen, that's the basically the first section they made, and you look upon what they can do now in
Right.
Antarctica and in
the
yeah.
water scene in
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yeah. If
Wow.
if you compare the water scene in Antarctica with the real water where they sail boats in Scandinavia,
Yeah. Compare the
Scandi-
fake water scene to
Yeah.
the actual where
Yeah.
they use real water.
Yeah, Scandinavia was great when it was created, but the
Antarctica blows it out of
experience
the water.
in Antarctica was like you could almost feel the breath and the cold.
You could
from-
feel the salt water getting up your
Yeah.
nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something else. Go back and watch it, or watch their video where they unveil it at Miniatur Wonderland.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's actually, to me, was the fun of the journey, is going to the old sections, because the first time I was there was 2 years after it opened. It opened in 2001. My first visit was 2003.
Yeah.
And then I went again in 2004, and then, well, the last time I was there was 2019, because that was a big deal, because they hadn't opened France yet, and of course South America was still in the just beginning to build stage. But now all of South America is done. The Patagonia, they're still doing the rainforest.
Yeah.
That is just under construction. But the Antarctica it's a small compared to everything else.
But you can clearly see from section to section, and basically if you follow the route that they have done, that
Right.
when they say start here and go this way, you get each time they change the theme, they have also, there had gone a couple of years between them.
Right.
And for example, I hadn't seen the scenes of Rome either.
Right.
And I was impressed about
Rome's beautiful.
the St. Peter's Basilica and the church and the square where the Pope
Right.
was, it was impressive.
Yeah, and to me, Rome, in some ways, is like the perfect section of Miniatur Wonderland, and I say that because Rome is still trains, a lot of trains, huge train station, trains coming in and out. So if you're a model train enthusiast and want to see the trains, but Rome is also where they went next gen with design and build. So the landscape, as you were saying, and the model building, clearly, because again, although they do 3D printing, they design these themselves. They're not kit bashing. Their own people design this. You can, when you're at Miniatur Wonderland, if you get there in the day, where we're telling you don't go, but if you go there during the day, you will see the 20, 30, 40 people back there who are fixing models, building models, trains, buildings, people, painting figures, because they're constantly changing them in and out and rearranging certain displays, because somebody says, you know what, we could fix this and do it better. But as Jean Ricard was saying, and I was saying, you have, you go to the oldest sections and see they were using the best tech and the best artists at that time, but the tech changed drastically. And when you get to South America, Patagonia, there's still trains there, but it really does seem to be more about, look how cool and how realistic we can build the town.
Yeah. And that's another thing, because if you see like Knuffing, like the old Knuffing, if you see, for example, the fire station, that is clearly an upgraded Valor building. They have made to function as the fire station.
Yeah.
And that's great, because people can go and see that, and they can find it in the catalog, and they can try to replicate it at their layout.
There's a lot of things, that you can look on their layout and say, I can do that.
Yeah.
But then there's the water scene in Antarctica, which, you're not going to replicate.
And that was about to be my point, because the newer the displays are, the more they have hand-built the buildings and trying to replicate the actual scene from where they are taken. If you take Scandinavia, it's more like single buildings placed in a scene that is somewhat appropriate for it, but they have mixed You
but
start
but
with
it's
Norway,
basic model kits.
Yeah,
It's,
and you start in Norway and Sweden, and you know it's mixed together, so you cannot really tell where does Norway start and where does Sweden start and where
Right.
does Sweden end and where does Denmark start, and when you look upon Denmark or the southern Scandinavia, all of a sudden you have the top of Schleswig-Holstein, you have the coastline of Schleswig-Holstein
Holstein,
built
yeah.
into some of it as well.
and then you go into northern, the Hamburg Knuffingen. Knuffingen was originally meant to be a fictional Hamburg, but then they built actual parts of Hamburg, and then you have Knuffingen, and then of course the famous Knuffingen Airport, which is based on Hamburg Airport, but not 100%.
Yeah.
So they call it Knuffingen, yeah.
But like you saw on Anthony's stream, they have
If you
actually,
watched it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I assume that when you see this, we would at least refer to
You're right.
that you have the possibility to see
Yeah.
the stream from. And for example, they have built Speicherstadt, where they are where Miniatur Wunderland is located in those old warehouses. And that wasn't a part of the originally start scene.
No, that came in by 2004 though, because when I visited in 2004, it was there, because that's the funniest thing. They built the building they currently are in, and they have a miniature Wonderland. And if you look in the window, you will see a micro train running on a micro layout inside their little HO scale building of Miniatur Wonderland in there.
Yeah, but actually, when you look upon it, and I think you filmed it in your stream, you should just know that that micro train that you see in that building, if that was real there, it would have been something like 7¼ inch scale, and we would have been able to ride it if it
Right.
had been
If you
there.
take the scale it is inside that building.
Yeah.
But at the time it was built, it was the smallest actual running train.
Yeah.
I think somebody's beaten the record now, but it was.
But
But
you
what
know,
the heck?
basically
Only one person can be first.
Yeah, basically anything they do, they do a lot of development of techniques for micro switches and micro movements and so on.
And if you didn't know, that's where the brothers started. They are microprocessing computer programmer designers. That's where they made their money. Then they bought a club here in Hamburg, made money on that. And then one day, Frederick, the one twin, said, I've always wanted to build a big model train, and let's just build the world's biggest model train.
Actually, they were challenged when they first started because there wasn't really any bank that believed in an idea. Nobody wants to go and
They had
pay
to
money
put $2 million of their own up to get
Yeah.
the bank to join in. They had
Yeah.
to put, and they sold everything. And their father, and they brought in another business partner, because they're the two brothers, Garrett and Friedrich Braun, who are the front face. But there's a third silent partner, and then their own father is the fourth partner in the business. And but again, we talk about this all the time, and we talked about it in the live stream. These guys could literally be billionaires if that was their aim, but they give away so much money, and they try not to profiteer off this. It's $20 to get in here, and I'll tell you what, if they charged 40, or well, it's 20 euros to get in here, but if I had to pay 50 euros to get in here, $50 to get in here, I would not feel cheated.
No, neither would I, but I would say that would be a lot of money to pay to get into an exhibition. So they have
But
a
it's still
very,
worth it.
very sound business solution. They would rather have a certain amount of people. But I also think that was the thing that I discussed with Joyce. Now, when I was there the first times, you didn't really have to wait that long. You just went to the counter and bought a ticket and went there. And I think basically due to COVID and afterwards, and also because it's such a huge layout with so many rooms, I think that actually the fire restrictions have made them so that they are basically not allowed to take in as many as they could.
Well, and that may be the real reason, although they say they could allow more people in than they do, but they do limit the numbers. And still, this is the #1 visited site in Germany over Neuschwanstein Castle. Neuschwanstein Castle for years was Germany's #1 visited site, and now Miniatur Wonderland is. And they will tell you over and over, now whether it's true or not, that maybe can be debated, but that they actually limit the number of people so that the people who get in here aren't packed like sardines. They do, it's not even fire code restriction, it's their own choice that they could make a lot more money and let more people in per hour. But that's the thing, buy your tickets in advance. And I bought ours 3-4 months in advance, and they were already selling. Mornings were sold out, but we went in the evening because most people want to, we're going to Hamburg, we're going to go in the morning and get it over with. But as Jean Ricard was saying, go in the evening, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, because they're open till, I think the last person they let in is midnight, but they don't kick anybody out till like 1:15 in the morning. So I would say a quick tour would take 2 hours, because I did it about as fast as you can. And I showed you every main section, and I didn't stop and gawk at stuff. But give yourself 2-3 hours, and trust me, you will want more. Because once you're in, you can stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
You have to be out by.
And you even have the possibility, if you come, let's say you come in the morning or in the middle afternoon.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave to get dinner, because they have an excellent cafeteria there with
quality food.
Yeah. So you can go and see part of the exhibition, go and find the cafeteria, sit down, eat
for an hour.
Yeah, and nobody is rushing you. And then afterwards, you just
go at your pace, eat at your pace. But again, later in the evening, the crowds are definitely smaller. So again, whether you have kids or not. Now, Jean Ricard was talking about, you can avoid a lot of the kids. Yeah, a lot of the school groups and that are in the morning and so forth. And yeah, they can be obnoxious. But, but there were plenty of kids there last night too.
It wasn't that I don't, but kids have a tendency they get excited.
Yeah.
And they,
and they run around, and they're not paying attention.
Front,
they push
because
their way
there's a button there to push, and
right.
They don't see if you.
We like to push the buttons too.
Yeah, of course.
But the kids beat you to it. That's why it's hard to go when the kids aren't there.
So, but it was very funny to see. But all of a sudden, you could be in an area, and it was almost empty of people.
Yeah.
And you were standing there and enjoying yourself and watching it.
So,
and then they just swarmed in.
But buy your ticket, seriously, if you are going to come to Hamburg, if you're going to be in Europe and near Hamburg and you want to see this place, buy your tickets early as you can. Now, they do have walk-up, but the walk-up people can wait in line, and the line can be up to 3 hours long. If you just want, they do have walk-up service, but again, walk-up service is much easier later in the day and evening than in the morning. If you want to go there and just walk up in the morning, you're going to wait 3 hours to get in, because most people are buying their tickets ahead of time.
Except if you were there at 6 o'clock and stood, outside that closed door and waiting.
Yeah. If you want to get there at 6 and do that,
yeah.
And you might find 200 other people had the same idea.
Yeah, of course.
But so anyhow, it was an amazing adventure.
It simply cannot be recommended enough to if you. I would actually say, if you're going on a holiday in Germany and are in just the northern part of Germany, not exactly in Hamburg, but
Netherlands, Denmark.
Yeah, if you are wanting to see Lübeck or wanting to go and see,
there's plenty of other things to see, but it gives you an excuse to come here.
Yeah, and if you are into trains, it's definitely a must.
Again, flights would be your biggest expense along with hotel, but you can, whether you Airbnb or hotel, it just depends on where you want to stay and how quick an access. Obviously, if you stay close to key traffic areas, you're going to pay more money, but you can find cheap hotels, and the transportation system, the subway, the bus, learn it, and you can, all this stuff is online. You can get it ahead of time. But this is not nearly as expensive to come to Hamburg for a week And while you're here in Hamburg, yeah, you can go up to Lubeck. You can, Jean, you took a 5-hour train ride to get here from
Aarhus.
northeastern Denmark.
Yeah.
Well,
northwestern, I would say. I was in Jutland. That's the western part of
yeah, but I thought Aarhus in your town was over,
They on the eastern side of, but basically, if you put a what do you call it? When
compass?
you draw circles, you had in the old days, you put a needle in the center.
The compass, yeah.
No, not a compass. The thing that you draw a perfect circle with. It's like a.
We called it a compass.
A compass. Okay. If you draw a compass.
Yes, a compass is the thing that says north, south, east, west. But also the thing we used in classrooms that had the pencil on one side and the needle we call that a compass.
Okay, a compass.
I don't know what it's called in German and Danish, but we called it a compass in America.
Yeah, and it's because you call it compass, I have completely we call it a passer. And
that's why we call it a compass.
Yeah. So, but when you put that in my
because you got all the islands over here to the east, so you're like central technically. But I'm thinking compared to that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Anyhow, he took a long train ride to get here.
Yeah.
And he's regretting it now.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not. It was very easy, and but then you should be. I would say, if you're going as a tourist. And you look upon Europe, start by trying to choose one country and explore that. And
my battery's dying.
Okay.
But anyhow, yeah. But it's a lot cheaper to travel to Europe than most of you would think. It's if you're planning a big fancy vacation in California, it's just as cheap to come to Germany and Hamburg.
And if it's your British viewers, I would say
much easier.
Even though you have left the EU,
they'll welcome you.
You are still welcoming in Europe. I can assure you.
Okay.
Like British.
So yeah, I've got to. We're gonna end this because my phone needs charged up while we're on our way to Delmenhorst today.
But should we end it as you always end it?
Oh yeah, I end all my videos that way.
Yeah.
So Joyce is not here, so we're just gonna have to take that part.
Yeah.
So on behalf of Jean Ricard and Joyce, who is in the other room having some alone time away from the men, we're going to say
Auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss and happy trains. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.